purpose of your washing machine's spin cycle is to use centrifugal force to draw all of the water out of your clothing. Are you being spun? Or is it possible that you might be doing some spinning of your own? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 2 of the Torah portion, B'Shalach, which means when he sent. So let's go back, if we can, to the book of Shemot, or Exodus chapter number 14. Let's begin with verse number 1 that says, And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel that they turn and camp before Pi-haroth, between Migdal and the sea, opposite Baal-Zephon. Camp before it by the sea. For Pharaoh shall say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land, and the wilderness has closed them in. And I shall strengthen the heart of Pharaoh, and he shall pursue them. But I am to be esteemed through Pharaoh and over all of his army, and the Mitzrites shall know that I am Yahweh. And they did so. We'll pause there and return to the text in a few moments. Let's spend the first part of this today talking about the intentions of Yah. Yahweh does not act on a whim. He is not moved with a sudden rush of anger or an overwhelming sense of brokenheartedness over someone's compassionate need. Yah is consistent, and he is consistently righteous. He's not always deemed to be fair, but he is always righteous. And so let's understand then that Yah acts intentionally. That means he acts with discretion, but he acts on purpose and with a determined end result in mind. Yah already knows the outcome, and so he moves in such ways as to bring about the outcome that he has desired. That understood, then, let's apply the intentions of Yah. Yah intentionally had Moses to bring the people down to Baal-Zephon, which was a military trap. They were in a very compromised position, but he did this intentionally. Just like intentionally, he sent Joseph down to Mitzrayim, to Egypt. He did that on purpose. He sent a worldwide famine intentionally, with a determined end result in mind. He intentionally sent a worldwide famine that also it would include Yaakov and family, and that they would be forced then to come down to Mitzrayim because that's where the food would be. He intentionally allowed Am Israel, the people of Israel, to be put into slavery on purpose, intentionally, with a determined end result in mind. He also would now, by all appearances, allow them to intentionally be slaughtered on the beach. Now, let's think about that. Someone in the crowd would have began the spin cycle. The idea of turning the facts into a storyline or a narrative with a supposed end result. All of us know what the spin cycle is. You can watch 24 hours a day if you so desire. I don't know why anyone would, but you can spend all your waking hours watching the media in its various versions. The news media in particular employ the quote-unquote talking heads. These are the experts, those with inside understanding and information that will take world events, sport events, Hollywood events, political events especially, and they will sit with their heads cocked in a certain informed way where they are just itching to tell you what they know. And so they spin. And sometimes you'll hear the spin spinning in one direction, and then you'll hear it spun in the other direction, but the result is the same. The spin cycle in your washing machine, regardless of whether it turns clockwise or counterclockwise, it's drawing the water out. That's what spin does. The spin cycle in the spirit realm, its purpose is to rob the life-giving flow of the waters of the Ruach. Take it out of you and leave you dry. It's not a righteous experience to sit and to listen and be inundated with spin, and more spin. The problem with the spin cycle is if you give yourself to it, you'll end up taking on opinions that do not belong to you. Opinions that are not Yah's. The spinosticators, let's call them that. They have a supposed end in mind. They don't know the future, but they speak like prophets, wah, 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 and on they go. And you take on their supposed end. This is how it's going to be. This is what they're doing. This is how they're going to do it. You take on this opinion, and then you start a course of action that does not speak righteously. The question is, have you heard such spin in the pulpits? Are those that claim to be speaking for the Most High One merely spinning Scripture according to their own supposed end? Are you yourself spinning and causing those that you know to be influenced by your supposed understanding of how it's going to all turn out? Or are we walking by the intentions of Yah? Now, we see the spin cycle one more time in this text as we continue. Verse number 5, and it was reported to the sovereign of Mitzrayim that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people. Somebody spun the news. They said, why have we done this? That we have let Israel go from serving us. So he made his chariot ready and took his people with him. And he took 600 choice chariots and all the chariots of Mitzrayim with officers over all of them. And they went running after Israel. The word that is used here to report, it is the word vayugad. It's from a root, nagad, which means to be conspicuous, to make known, to declare, to announce, and one more word, to expound, to elaborate on, to cause the information to be colored and its analogies. Somebody had knowledge that Israel had left and thought it wise to walk into Pharaoh's presence and said, did you know that Israel has left? Do you know that they went out defiantly? Do you know that they went out with flags and marching in fives like a military procession? Do you know what their attitude was? The more they reported, the more the heart of Pharaoh got hardened and angry. Now, of course, Yah was allowing the spin cycle to do its job, because he wanted to draw them like hooks in their jaws down to his own military trap and destroy them, which he did. But let's also understand, you don't want to be a part of the crowd that gets caught up in the world's spin cycle. Suffice it to say that for today, that our thoughts should be on this: my Elohim acts decisively in my behalf with a determined, intentional end result that has not just come to him on a whim, but has been pre-planned for me all along. He knows me, he knows my needs, he knows my future, he knows my destiny, and he is purposefully taking me to it. I will not allow myself to be caught up in someone else's spin cycle of phrasing and analogies and supposed outcomes and end up losing the waters of refreshing the Ruach HaKodesh. More tomorrow. To then, shalom.